We have some breaking news from the NHL. We have some more fines being handed out by the NHL for incidents that happened during pregame warm-ups in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Today there are fines both for the teams of the Montreal Canadiens and the Washington Capitals, as well as Arbor Xhekaj and Dylan McIlwrath. We'll discuss the scenario coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, we have some more breaking news, and once again it involves fines for stuff that happened during warm-ups at NHL playoff games. The NHL is certainly cracking down on this, even though most people think it's pretty ridiculous, harmless, to some degree at least. Now, the stuff in Montreal-Washington series has been a little bit more borderline, in my opinion. Like, there's been a lot of yapping and chirping, and considering how physical and the amount of fights and fisticuffs, low-key violence that we've seen in that series, I can see why they might be a little bit more concerned about that one than some of the others. But, at the end of the day, it's all a little bit crazy in my opinion, but here we are. Right now we have fines for two players, one on each team. Montreal Canadiens, the defenseman Arbor Xhekaj has been fined $3,385.42. And Dylan McIlwrath of the Capitals has been fined $2,018.23. Now, both of these press releases from player safety say it's the maximum allowed under the CBA, and they're both considered unsportsmanlike conduct. They must have different levels of unsportsmanlike conduct, because if they're classified as the same sort of basic penalty, why are the amounts different? I don't quite get that. I know during last night's game, as I was turning the game on between the Habs and the Canadiens, or the Canadiens and the Capitals, I know they did show some clips about warm-up and what was going on. There was definitely been lots of yapping between the two teams around center ice, and I believe there was some contact with sticks or whatever, like a minor slash. It wasn't anything serious, but still, considering the level of, like I said, physicality and everything going on in this series, I can see why maybe that they might be a little more concerned. Obviously, the standard was set the other day when they fined the Ottawa Senators $25,000 and Nick Cousins for harmlessly firing a puck at Leaf goalie Anthony Stolarz during warmups. Surprised a lot of people, but apparently the NHL had given out warnings to all the playoff teams after another incident between Winnipeg and St. Louis. Again, very harmless. Mark Scheifele likes to be the last man off the ice, and Joel Hofer, the backup goalie for the Blues, was not going off so that Scheifele could be the last man off, and he ended up shooting pucks down towards the Jets' end of the ice. Was anybody harmed? No. Completely just gamesmanship, little things that you see all the time, and nobody really cares. But the NHL found it important enough to intervene and put out a warning, and because of that, we're starting to see other things. Now, yesterday there was reports from Bruce Garriock with the Ottawa situation saying that the Maple Leafs, at least the belief is, it's not 100% confirmed, that the belief was that after that warning came out, when Leafs management had seen Cousins harmlessly fire a puck at Stolarz, that they complained about it to the league and demanded that they do something. I don't know. That's that's Bruce Garriock, well connected around the league, but again, we don't know 100% if that hasn't been verified. But he had enough people tell him that they think that's what happened. Normally, he said what would happen is the Leafs GM would call the Senators GM and be like, "Hey, this happened to warm up. We don't really like that. Can you please tell your team not to do that?" And kind of sort it out themselves without being petty like that. But if that is what happened, that is petty, and it seems crazy. But here we are now. It's trickled over to the other series, but this is not the first time in this series that we've seen warm-up shenanigans. They've been at each other a few times, especially since Xhekaj's entered the series a couple games ago. And then, of course, we had the big brawl between Anderson and Wilson that spilled over at the end of the second period the other night, right into the bench. They both got fines for that. They were both fined. I think it was about $5,000, I believe. So the league has recouped a lot of money from this Montreal-Washington series, and because of all the violence. But I'm sure Sens fans are not happy to see other teams be fined, but happy to see that the standard is not being, because I think it looked like they might have been being picked on, and obviously I kind of felt that way as well. But at least they set the standard and they're actually following it, which is, that's the thing with the NHL when it comes to anything to do with safety, anything to do with fines and suspensions. I just find the inconsistency can be quite wild at times, and here we are. So again, all crazy, all ridiculous. I don't think anybody should have been fined for any of it, but the league has chosen to be the policeman this way during these playoffs, and here we are collecting some money, I guess. I don't know, not that they're hurting, and all the money goes to charity anyway, so it's not like it goes to the league directly. But anyway, let me know your thoughts on the warm-up shenanigans and the fines that the NHL is handing out here, this time for Montreal and Washington. Of course, the news of the day earlier was Mike Sullivan being let go by the Pittsburgh Penguins. The initial report that I was talking about saying that they parted ways made it sound mutual, but then Kyle Dubas has since spoken to the media, and it sure doesn't sound mutual to me. I think Kyle Dubas definitely fired Mike Sullivan for sure. So we'll talk about that a little bit further in the next video as well, talking about all the other news and rumors around the league for the day. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you next time.